Hello everyone, it's the first episode. Woo.
Of what? What is this? The first episode of what? Where are we?
I guess I'll just have to keep guessing. No, I'm kidding. It's the Rogues Gallery Podcast.
Woo!
Very catchy name.
So I was supposed to make a whole bunch of what do you call scripts, because usually I'm super prepared, but today I'm just all out of sorts, so I forgot.
Okay, professional streamer move as usual.
I'm not a professional streamer. I have not been streaming ever since I started with Killing Rogues, so it's all your fault.
It's the pilot episode. We got it, guys.
Therefore, I am a baby streamer, so.
Alright, in that case, you might want to start with what the hell is this?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Jeez.
Okay,
We don't have an audience, but so let's build up a repertoire with them.
So the reason we're starting this podcast is because, Skilling Rogues, Skilling Rogues is the channel, but the second campaign that we're currently running on Saturdays at 8 p.m. GMT plus 8, and every other time zones out there that is listed in the panel, is reaching to its second anniversary this Saturday. Woo!
Yeah.
So,
Monetary applause.
so I guess you should have those things. Damn, I don't. And like for some reason the music is not here. Like there's no music, and I'm not sure why.
You might go on. It's okay. Go on. Do it.
I'm
What?
double checking. It's there.
Is it? Because I don't hear it. Okay.
I hear it. So all good.
Alright. So, tell me
Professional
if it's too
stream
loud,
move.
because I don't know.
It's okay. It's all good.
Alright. Okay. So again, I'm not a professional streamer. I just said I was a baby streamer, so I'm just relearning this whole thing. I started with slobs, but now we go back to OBS because slobs suck. Period.
Alright, so to move on,
technically, I've never actually used OBS. So
Alright, let's introduce these four individuals right between this table. To test this table.
oh yeah, sure, let's do that. So let's start from you, War. Introduce yourself.
Oh, hello everyone. My name's War. Other people call me War21. War Torn 21 is usually what I go by. But yes, I'm one of the delectable hosts of this great podcast that we're starting.
Isn't delectable what you consider a snack? Are
Yeah.
you calling yourself
He
a
is a
snack?
snack. I mean,
Hey.
Am I not?
There you go.
makeup's on point.
If I have you know, I'll have you know, I am quite the curvaceous person in IRL.
Curvaceous.
I'm not joking on that. I mean everything literal word by word.
Alright.
Continuing on. Yes, I would be in charge of homebrew goodies for your delectable 5e tabletop RPG known as Dungeons and Dragons. And that's my segment. Should we move on to the next person to my dear left?
I think my podcast has been overtaken by someone else. Anyway.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry
This
to
is
steal the
what
spotlight, sweetie.
happens when I'm not prepared. I'll be more prepared next time. I'll be honest.
It's fine. We're in the pilot.
Anyway,
Remember, the pilot.
So yeah, as War have said, we have 4 segments. So for now, it's just a bit of a chit chat. Then the next segment will be about news, which will be handled by Rain. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, you know me. I think you've heard my voice multiple times. I am Rain / the Spotted Voice. I'm the GM for everything that runs in this place. Cause no one want a GM. I don't GM.
No, because you're not satisfied with anyone GMing.
Honestly, yeah, I'm kind of a dick in a sense, you know. I'm like, yeah, your games are good, but I would do it differently.
Here's the problem, Rain. You were born in the wrong country in the wrong time zone, so I can't
know.
you when I'm available. If you just moved to Greece, like I told you many times, it's a non-issue.
If I were to move, I want to move to Japan. So I feel like that's gonna worsen our time gap, right?
That doesn't fix it, yeah. Right?
Yeah. All right. Never mind. Maybe. Oh, I do want to maybe move to Edinburgh though. Edinburgh's nice. So it's closer to our time zone. So maybe.
Anyway, so
All right. Yeah. I do DMing the 2 campaigns that we have right now, and we do news. So yeah.
do the news. So, and we have the 2 main segments of the podcast are handled by me and Crit. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Crit, or Critical Thinking. I'm the one guy here that's not from the East. I'm from Europe, from Greece.
He's the diversity hire.
Yes.
Exactly.
Token
I
white guy. That's new.
Yeah, there you go. Token white guy.
And this is my geographical location. My ping's kind of weird, so hope I don't go robotic randomly. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm also
God.
Dungeon Master. I've been playing D&D for like 9-10-ish years, on and off. Been DMing for most of it. Actually, playing with Rain is the first time I've played in like 6 years. So that feels good.
Yeah. And you're now in 2 campaigns.
Yeah. Like
Because he has
quadrupled
no
the amount of
choice.
campaigns I've been in. It's great. And what else? Obviously, I'm a player here, and I cover stories.
Cover stories, and
Yeah.
alongside that stories, it's me as well. I cover the other part. I'm me. Okay, that's done anyway.
Good job.
Wonderful.
Concise and to the point.
Yeah. What do you need to know about me? I play the other 2 campaigns because I can't not play. I have FOMO. I've never missed a session, and if I need to miss a session, I make sure everyone has to cancel as well, so that I can
Here.
keep my streak. And so far, it's been 3 years of continuously making 4 sessions. Haha.
Last time I offered to play without Aina because she couldn't make it, she actually mailed a pipe bomb to my house.
No comment. So okay. Anyway, yeah, that's all the introductions we have. We'll be your host for this season. We have we will do this like a show. You know how a show has like 12 episodes per season? That's what we will do with this podcast. All right. So I guess without further ado, let me prepare everything because I'm a baby streamer. Give me a moment.
Pro streamer, of course. Yeah.
Whoa! No! Shit! Oh no! Oh well, no. Actually, I need to credit. So this is the music you hear. Haha. Anyway, okay. So the first segment is for Rain to take over.
All right. So welcome everybody. It's time for the news, as they put it. But there's not much going on in the D&D world. I say not much, but actually there have been quite a few big releases, and now I'm wondering if this is the only big news that I'm gonna get for the rest of the season of the show. But hey, who knows? So, just in case you don't know, first things first, most importantly, since we all played Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, we got a new book called the what was it? Mordekainen Monsters of Multiverse, something like
Yeah.
that. Let me get it correctly. Yeah. So basically, they've combined a Tasha and also they combined Tasha, Volos, and also Mordekainen, the original
Yeah.
Mordekainen book. And they combined the 2 together for people to go through, and they have overhauled some of the races and everything. And then let's give a look to some of the races. Anna, have you given this a read a little bit actually?
I think a little bit because I'm supposed to be the final arbiter of everything, and honestly, I don't know my judgment. But seems like they've made some changes, like in terms of how they behave and how like the spell casting actions are making it a bit more efficient to do, which I think is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. That's all I read. Like
That's all I
I
read.
skimmed it, you know.
Yeah. Well, we got this page that you have open here, so let's go through it a little bit. Let's see. So let's look at changes to the monsters. Alignment and creature type. First up, humanoids are being reserved for monsters who are more human, like in their moral and cultural range. So they're saying, I guess all humanoid races have to be gray now, like humans. They can't be just pure evil or pure good. Is that what we're trying to say here?
I don't think so. I mean, well, look at this bullywug knight. It's considered a humanoid, and it's a lawful good.
I didn't realize they
what does
had
it mean by
typically.
humanoid?
I think they added there like typically lawful good. I wonder if that's one of the things that they try to soften the blow, I guess, from just calling someone good or evil.
I guess so. Well, it says here there's been some confusion about alignment's role. So in the rules of PHP, you choose your character's alignment, but in Monster Manual, DM determines the monster alignment. So I guess essentially it's just a role-playing aid. It's not really.
I see.
Like it doesn't determine the creature's behavior anyhow. So.
I mean that's fair.
In our games, I don't think we give much to this alignment.
That's true, because this is from what I understand about alignments. Alignments are kind of like a relic of old D&D. If you really want alignment to be really into your game, Pathfinder is what you want to look into, because Pathfinder actually has, when they say detect good and evil, you actually detect a creature's alignment. When they say there is like evil damage and good damage and chaotic damage and so on. So if you really want alignment to be like a main thing, you might want to go with Pathfinder. But for D&D, they've seemed to slowly move away from alignments in general and doing it more like a roleplay tool rather than an in-game mechanic. But correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been playing D&D much longer than I have.
I mean, I've played since 3.5, and alignments were never really a set thing from as far as I've learned. Like, my first introduction was just like, it's a thing to guide you in which way your character would act or react to things, right? So it was never like
a hard fast rule or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you'd get, awarded in 5e, especially you get rewarded for playing to your alignment or to your flaws and traits.
Yeah. That's cool. Because like I did, because I'm writing my own rules, by the way, so you're looking forward to that. Anyways, I did research looking into other games and everything, how alignments are used, especially in Pathfinder. Like, some creatures actually deal like chaotic damage, like the chaotic in the lawful chaotic line, like they deal chaotic damage, and some creatures are weak to chaotic, some creatures are weak to lawful damage, and so on. So this is apparently a thing, and like if they deal lawful damage and you're a lawful creature, you don't take damage from it. So
I mean, that's pretty much like a radiant and necrotic, I guess.
Of sorts, yeah, I guess so. They kind of like quantify it to more like good damage and evil damage, and kind of like put it in a bit more. The good is more like divine light, and necrotic and evil is decay and shit. But yeah, cool way how things have evolved. Yeah.
Now, like I'm just gonna put this out. I'm the youngest in experience for D&D overall, and I haven't played.
His character's the shortest.
All right, not clearly from the table, as seen. But, I would like to know what does lawful attack mean? Like, what does lawful damage mean? Do you like attack? Do you attack with a set of like rules?
Let's see, that's the thing. Like, I think that's their version of like divine damage, but since they are evil gods, good gods, lawful gods, and chaotic gods, they put it as like chaotic damage. So it's basically like divine damage, but chaotic element,
I see.
So I think that's how they're flavoring it. So like some creatures from I can't remember, Primus, I think the plane of law, they'll be weak to I think chaotic damage a lot because oh no, breaking the rules, kind of thing.
And this is only a 3.5 feature or
And
older?
that is Pathfinder. I'm not sure about 3.5.
Oh,
I've never looked into
Pathfinder.
it. Yeah, Pathfinder
First
2.
edition?
Second
Oh,
edition specifically.
okay.
I'm not sure about first edition. I'm a baby gamer like yourself as well. D&D 5e is my first system, and then I'm looking into some other stuff, but mostly D&D.
We never really go out of D&D, to be honest.
Hey,
We try.
we had 2 campaigns that uses open legend.
Well,
That's
yeah,
cool.
you did.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
The system is a bit too open for players. No, it's not too
Yeah.
open. Like, players have an idea of what their character want to do, but then what they want to do, and then ascribing it to the system. That's a different thing, cause okay, I want to be super fast and teleport around. Okay, that's like movement. Do I have enough movement to do that? And you start looking into the mechanics and everything, and bogs the game down, and people just don't bother with the system. But it's a cool system though. If you guys want to play around with it, I still know how to play that game. So yeah.
On the topic of chaotic and lawful energies and vibes that deal different damages,
Yeah.
if your character is a chaotic evil, will he be resistant / immune to chaotic damage?
I
Is that
guess
how it
so.
works?
I think so. Yes, I think so.
Would that apply for chaotic good?
If you're chaotic good, you're immune to chaotic damage and good damage.
Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. It makes more sense for it to be like if you're chaotic, you're good with chaotic and weak to good. Or lawful, rather, right?
I'm gonna have to read the Pathfinder rule a little bit.
Yeah, this is alignment
Anyway,
is messy.
Yeah.
people
Well, yeah.
would find a way to optimize the shit out of that. Like,
Yeah.
more monsters are dealing this type of damage. Or
I mean, that's what happened with D&D. That's why fire mages, while cool, kind of sucks because a lot of people are resistant to fire. Poison, don't get me started about that.
Oh,
Poor
right,
Aina.
What? I was sort
In-
of paying attention.
Inside joke, everyone. Inside jokes. Get ready.
She tried
for a
to
lot
make
of
up. She tried to make poison focused character.
Yeah. Look,
Poorly.
in my defense, I did not know, but D&D, that was my first character. Thank you very much. Anyway,
Fair.
with that,
Yeah,
let's
go on.
to... Well, we actually have spent quite a bit. So, let's go to one more piece of news before we go to the next segment. So, Alright, so here PaizoCon announced the new Pathfinder and Starfinder products to kick off PaizoCon. Anything you want to talk about here?
I mean, yeah. Again, I don't follow much about Pathfinder, but I think it's a pretty cool thing. During the PaizoCon, which happened on the 27th to 30th. So it's either you've been there or you didn't. They announced a couple of new books. If I recall correctly, these are kind of like old books that were in Pathfinder First Edition. They're importing it to the mechanics of Pathfinder Second Edition because First Edition is much closer to D&D 3.5. But with Pathfinder 2E, they've really branched off and really went on their own, essentially. I'm sure there are smaller, lesser known system that use the action points and all the feats and everything, but I kind of like the game. It's very video gamey, but I think, to me at least, it's kind of a good thing. D&D has its advantages by being vague and up to the DM most of the times. I kind of like the idea of how Pathfinder really kind of make it into a video game a little bit and ascribing giving more flexibility. Surprisingly, mechanics wise, it gives the player more flexibility to do more stuff. But yeah, they are announcing a couple of books. One of them was the Treasure Vault book, which is basically rules for making custom magic item, which is pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then they also released Adventure Path called Gatewalkers. Adventure Path is Pathfinder's version of modules. So D&D calls modules, and Pathfinder they call it Adventure Path. And as well, Starfinder. This is the sci-fi version of Pathfinder, and they're releasing the Drift Crisis Case File Adventure, which is kind of like a mystery detective kind of sort of thing. But yeah, they've announced that, and I think there were a couple more. I couldn't remember, but yeah, that's essentially it. So if you guys are interested in a lot more Pathfinder, might go for it. I know, can we go to the next news, the one more, because that was, I feel like, is very important for any and all
This one?
D&D enthusiasts. The next one, one more. There you go.
Oh.
So we got some free shit. So like, if you guys want free shit, go get the free shit. So I found this the other day in EN World. They are basically having some freebies and bundles and sales. So just scroll down a little bit. There are a couple of freebies that you guys might want to look into.
I mean, we kind of only play Dungeons and Dragons.
I know, but this is RPG news, all right? Not D&D news. So you know, I want to cover all the bases.
Which one do you find the most like interesting? I guess. Like,
I mean,
wanna try.
I have to go with that Cyberpunk, and it's free. So
Wait,
like, even
which
better.
one? Hold on.
The number 2 for
If someone
Cyborg.
says Cyberpunk?
Cyborg.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, for Cyborg, the Cyberpunk offshoot of Mark Borg's.
PDF and
Philip-
soundscape.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like they're giving you a PDF, but also a soundscape to use.
Soundscape for you to use
For
in
the
the sessions. I
game?
guess so. Yeah. But yeah, it sounds interesting, and I always love the cyberpunk aesthetic. I just need to add a little bit more fantasy in there. So yeah. But yeah, that's the one I'm really excited about. But can you like leave link somewhere for people to just go here and you know, browse shit? Gotta put it in chat. Put it in chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We're gonna
what
be
about
expecting more.
what about all those people who only listen to the podcast?
Oh man, you know what? I'll put it in the description as well. Just for me to put it in there, because I'm sure I'm gonna forget. Because that's what I do. I'm a professional streamer.
By the way, folks at home, this is a podcast, right? Supposedly.
Yeah.
And where can we find ourselves?
Where I'm gonna upload it on a anchor.fm, but of course, this shit will be available on your favorite streaming site. So Apple Music is gonna be on Spotify. Where else? I think I have the list down here. Where is it? There you go. Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Castbox, Breaker, and Pocket Cast. You can find the link on the description of this podcast, or if you're on the stream, just scroll down a little bit. Then we have the section for podcasts over there. If
Yeah.
you're interested. So yeah.
I haven't heard about a lot of those in my time. It's not that I go on many podcasts, but that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like, this game. We're not being paid by Anchor, by the way, okay? But like when you upload to Anchor, they help you to distribute your podcast to all these various platforms. So it's really nice to just get yourself out there, and yeah. So that's why we've been using Anchor FM, and they've been pretty cool. So yeah. Next.
Alright. Okay, so I guess now it's time to go to the next segment. Now let me just change some stuff a little bit.
Yes, press the button, do the thing.
Yes, the button
It's-
to do the thing.
While she's
and-
pressing
oh,
the
shit,
buttons and doing
that's
the
the
things,
wrong
the
window.
rain.
Hold on.
Yes.
Are we gonna be expecting more cyberpunky stuff now that you got free cyberpunky shit in the Rust Engine campaign?
I mean, maybe you gotta first get out of this semi-destroyed city. I mean, to be fair, our campaign's not really a cyberpunk. It's more post-apocalypse. The world was cyberpunk, but then shit happened. If you want to know more, go ahead and join us every Friday, PM GMT plus 8. No, 10 PM GMT plus 8.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's go to the next section. So here we talk about some stories that we found in Reddit, and we just kind of talk about it and react to it. Tell each other what we think about it, and like if you in the chat have any opinions about it, feel free to let us know. Alright, so let's go to the first story of the day. So this one is on Reddit in our RPG Horror Stories by the user Apocryph 7618. So, the gist of it is, the title is The Curse of Strahd, the game, the module of D&D, is my GM an asshole here. So, he says, long-time lurker, first-time caller. I'm a forever GM myself, and I lurk here because I'm terrified I will one day feature on here. We all make mistakes. Touch wood, it hasn't happened yet. I am, however, a player in a Curse of Strahd game, and something happened yesterday that doesn't sit right with me. It might belong here, it might not. Happy for the subreddit to judge. So consider this something of a is my GM an asshole question rather than here's a clearly very shitty thing that happened rant. Alright, so we're a 6th level party. The 2 PCs relevant to this is my character Magnus, a Goliath Paladin, and Suka, a Halfling Ranger. We've been playing for about 9 months now, and we're roughly halfway through the campaign. I know this because this is probably the 6th time I've either played or run Curse of Strahd. Okay, I've never played Curse of Strahd. Like, I've never really played any module.
Same
Disclaimer, same.
What about you? You're the D&D veteran
have
here.
you heard of Curse of Strahd?
You'd think. Well, everyone's heard of it. No one's
have you
played
played
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't actually played it, simply because nobody seems to want to run it.
Oh.
I mean, I've looked through it, and it seems very cool and complex, and a lot of stories emerge from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, all your favorite storytime YouTubers that do D&D have talked about it, and will have very different experiences. So it seems very cool, but also very intimidating because it's huge.
Yeah, we could try it actually. It is it's not a one shot, right? It's like a campaign,
It's a
right?
full
It's an
campaign.
entire campaign
You
setting.
can go from level 1 to level 10, I think. But
Yeah, I think we could do it like a short campaign of sorts.
1 to 10. Remember how long we took from 1 to 10? A year. I don't know if that's short.
Is it actually? Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Go on.
Then from 10 to 15, we took another year. So, anyway. So, not long after leaving Barovia for Valaki, we came across these 2 zombies, revenants, something undead anyway. They came at us and we killed them. Since then, pretty much every time we get back on the road, we encounter these same 2 chuckle-elves, except each time they seem to be stronger. Last night we fought them for the 4th time, 5th, and Suka's players noticed that each time we fought them, they've mainly been focused on us too. I've never noticed because I'm the party tank. My job is to keep them engaged with me whilst protecting others from attack, using the sentinel feat and the interception fighting style to help with that. But after he pointed it out, it clicked. And in this particular encounter, it became super obvious. They attacked us too, specifically to the absolutely exclusion of everyone else and irrespective of what everyone else was doing. Slight problem with this encounter. I don't know what Strahd has been feeding these revenants, but they're now dealing 28 to 30 points of bludgeoning damage per hit with unarmed strikes.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Hit KO,
And-
dude. I'm telling you.
And they both have multi-attack because of course they do. They also had a massive amount of HP. Between smites, divine favors, the cleric spirit guardians, and everything else, they were taking a silly amount of damage themselves. But it didn't do a whole lot. And once we had to start resorting to healing ourselves, it was over. Retreat wasn't a viable option. We were carrying cargo from the Wizard of Wines up to Kresk. And these whites, or whatever they are, have a 50 feet move speed for some reason. It was also clear that they are relentless in their pursuit of us. We'd have to fight them at some point because ultimately we tire, they don't. Yeah, Ray?
Huh? I didn't see anything. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, I don't actually know what these are. They, let's use the gender neutral term, they change what it is every single time.
I think it's the 2 guys that were fighting. I mean, couldn't be anything else, right?
The 2 guys they were fighting? What do you mean?
That was fighting. That's why they used it.
The 2 guys that punch for 28 to 30 points of bludgeoning damage?
Yeah.
Why are you confused on this?
No, I mean, I know, but what are they? What are the two guys? Because he's been saying
They're
it's
revenants.
revenants, but then it says it's maybe whites, maybe what was the other?
Yeah,
one?
I don't.
Zombies?
I mean, if
Well,
I want to say bad, but like an amateur dungeon master would like, okay, you guys find a chimera. What do you do?
True.
More elaborated dungeon master would go. You see a lion standing right in front of you, 10 feet tall, but then you see it has a scorpion tail, and then a goat's head on its back. So like
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this GM is actually pretty good and just describe like an undead. So like it's a bit unsure if they're revenants or zombie. So
But that's like
I'd say
the
at this
worst
point-
thing. for
I mean,
me.
it's and honestly, this is cool because that would be cool for like the one that invest in intelligence. They could like, oh, can I roll intelligence check
That
or a
is
history
true.
or religion check?
Yeah, that's what we would
Oh.
do.
Yeah,
So far,
exactly.
where the story is heading. First of all, the 28 to 30 points of damage for unarmed strikes is
Per hit.
absurdly
That's
high.
crazy.
Yeah.
But I feel like with the context we have, maybe there's a narrative.
That's true.
to it.
That's what I'm
There's
thinking
probably-
as well. Yeah.
We have to finish what we're reading here,
Yeah.
but it seems like there is a mystery or a plot involving
Well,
these two.
unfortunately, there's not a lot. There's not too much more. So
Alright.
Oh dear.
the OP continues. Ultimately, they downed my paladin and continued beating him to death. The whites then crumbled away once I died. I'm not salty that my paladin died to a small child because that's kind of funny, and I'm only slightly salty that we were put into a situation where neither victory nor retreat were really an option. Around 28 points per hit, which means over 100 points of damage being dealt per round, assuming they hit with each attack. It just strikes me as suspicious because in the week before the session, I talked about making backup characters in case Magnus dies. I talked about how they were
Ooh.
tied into the story much more than a Goliath hailing from the spine of the world was. And then the very next session, I'm put into an unwinnable fight and die? It does strike me a little suspect. GM denies that being the case and that the fight was in no way engineered for one outcome or another. And as a veteran GM myself, I'm inclined to believe him. It's not that I don't believe he'd do it, it's that I'd expect him to have some sort of out-of-game conversation with me about it beforehand. But whether or not, I'm happy to replace my character with one of my backups. Nevertheless, it doesn't sit right with me. I do still suspect there was some gaming of a situation going on behind the scenes, but I kind of want people with a fresh set of eyes to look at this and tell me what they think. Thanks in advance. So, what do you guys think?
Okay, I have a opinion to state.
Alright,
Okay,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Opinion away.
Namely, from what I remember, and
Mhm.
people can correct me on this, I think in the
Yeah.
Curse of Strahd, there are specific instances where you're not like expected to die, but you're very likely to die, and dying actually has like a whole thing behind it where like, if I remember correctly, if you die, you can be brought back by like one of the patrons of Bavaria or whatever the place is called.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And you can come back as a revenant of some kind, serving some witch mother or something, some whole thing. I didn't look much into it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But death is like a thing there, although the Dungeon Master being like, nah bro, it was completely fine, is not the case. It wasn't fine, it was bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, like that's what I'm. I never watch any Curse of Strahd because I do intend to play it at some point or GM it at some point, so free of spoilers as well. But it does. I do understand like having because like it could be a revenant because that's the whole lore about revenant. They want to kill one guy, and every time they die, they reincarnate a new body and keep chasing that guy. And once they kill that guy, only then the revenant can die. It does sound like a revenant here, but man, they are relentless, dude. Like they have the guys are just level 5 and like fucking 100 plus damage per round. That sucks.
It does.
I think the main crux of this entire story is there wasn't player consent or any discussion behind of like why this is happening.
Yeah,
mean-
definitely.
I mean, like if I were the player in that situation, I think I would have brought it up with the DM. Like, hey, dude, could I like ask why?
He did though. He did ask the
did.
GM like Is there something wrong here? Why are you chasing me? And the GM said, no. Yeah, that's why I'm a bit iffy here, because this is
Okay.
something that I would, sometimes do as well. Like, it's a strange situation that makes the player question. But I personally wouldn't do it to a point where the character would die. So, yeah.
So actually, one of the comments actually said that to the OP. He said just outright ask your GM what the deal was, and OP replied, "I did ask. The penultimate paragraph explains the conversation that did take place. There's obviously stuff you can't tell me as a player because it's part of the game, and I don't think from conversations had that this will be the last we see of them, unless killing one of us breaks whatever curse was in play. I suspect it's the curse anyway. And as a GM, I respect that he can't answer all of my questions, so despite the conversation taking place, I still feel like there's no closure on the subject beyond just accepting it happened and focusing on my new character. That's why I'm torn. I know well enough to know I can't and shouldn't dwell on it, and maybe some saltiness is absolutely fine this soon after it happened. There's nothing to say players have to like having their PCs killed off, but for me, I think it's the fact I did go searching for answers afterwards and been left wanting. So I think it's like,
I think kudos to this guy, dude. Like he's taking it like a champ. Like he understands how a GM would, because he said he is a veteran GM himself. So yeah, like kudos how he's handling this.
I
think it's very mature for what, like, there's no angry rant. It's just, could I ask an opinion of someone? Why?
Yeah.
I think it's just like not a case of how you say improper communication kind of thing. Well, not really improper, but like ineffective communication in which you are not able to say, you don't fully understand what the other person is saying, but you're not saying that you don't understand because you assume that you do, but you don't, and then this happens.
How long was this post made? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
How long ago? 8 days ago. 9 days ago. It just changed, right? Was that me?
Oh yeah. All right.
Oh my god. I think because
That's cool.
time is different, but anyway.
Yeah. I don't know, but okay. This is my 2 cents. I understand why the GM couldn't tell, because maybe there's a lore bit or something like that. Like it is a intriguing thing. But I think the mistake the GM made here was, one, like that encounter was way too much. I feel like if you want the player to be defeated, the player would feel better if they got outsmarted rather than just
damaged.
Outstatted, outstatted, and secondly, if what I'm reading is correctly, they just went off like okay, new character, let's go. No hurrah for the dead character. I feel like there should be some kind of mourning, or the new party want to like investigate more on what the hell's going on, I think that would help bring some closure to the player itself.
I just hope that the players, the dead Goliath Paladin, gets some closure, like the party is able to figure out why it happened to these specific 2 players. I mean, I understand this could be like the start of like a plot point, like, oh, one of your past party member died, time to solve the reason why.
That would be cool.
But I feel like this abundance of emotion does come with the territory of dead PC.
Here's a thing. It's a fresh post, and I guess there's no updates on it. But it's a very real possibility that next session starts, and the whole thing happens where his character's death is actually not his final death, and
that's true. That's true. Yeah,
a will serve into an undead god or something.
Yeah.
So it sucks we can't look at this with
maybe we'll revisit it. Like we'll go to his profile and then refresh until a new post appears.
Put the bell on it. Put a notification.
It's Apocryph 761, but But he did say after a few comments, he said, looking through the comments with the knowledge of the last 9 to 10 months playing with this GM, I'm satisfied to say that this isn't a case of asshole GM, but a good GM who made 1 or 2 mistakes, which my character ultimately paid for. I don't begrudge him that. I'm a veteran GM too. It happens to everyone. So
I definitely understand the 1 or 2 mistake bit there.
Yeah.
1 or 2, Rain? Really?
Ooh. As in the one mistake that basically changed all of our trajectory.
I will never forgive you for the first Hydra fight. I'm sorry.
or the reality
go.
jump. Unconsented. No, I'm kidding.
There you are.
Oh, great! We made him hop off the tape. We made him hop off the platform.
Too bad his avatar's still here.
Welcome back.
Anyway, okay. So, any final comments on this post, or should we move on to the next segment?
I think we have given our final comments in
Oh,
this post. So
okay.
yeah, let's go.
Alright. Alright.
I did. We were left with wanting for closure, but apparently there was closure.
There was closure.
we just didn't read further down.
Sometimes it's like these things. It's just you need to vent, and then and then people say, okay, actually, this is what you should have done, and like, oh yeah, you know what, actually, I feel a bit better after I vent. I can think a bit more, clearly now. So, yeah, I think that's just it.
Yeah.
All right. So next we go to War segment, and this is where we review homebrew stuff. So first up we have the Quality Quiver, which is known to be... What did you name this again?
Yes. So, welcome to the Homebrew Emporium. It's my segment. I'm dubbing this. Trademark is pending. Yes, so the Quality Quiver. No longer worry about your arrows with this homebrew item. So, the reason why I'm gonna highlight this homebrew item is basically, yes, I've played a number of players, PCs that require a bow and arrow, and sometimes the DM does double check, like, you've been shooting a few more than 50 arrows this entire arc, and we haven't gone on a shopping spree yet.
Wait! You didn't keep track of your arrows when you did.
I know. It happens to the best of us. No, actually, it happens every time.
You always keep track of your inventory so that you can throw it back to your GM's face when they say,
Exactly.
Are you sure? I am absolutely sure you want to see all the locks that I've made ever since we get the first diamond. That kind of thing.
Or like when you put a really hard puzzle, like, hey GM, remember that item that you gave me on session 2? And they're like, ta-da! Like, oh snap! It's so cool.
Yeah, so callback items, like DMs accidentally giving OP powerful items is such a great moment for the party to see.
That's why, like, while I like giving custom magic item that fits the theme of the quest and everything, I do still roll on the random magic item table because it gives them random items that I would not expect. So that's where my enjoyment come from when you just fuck up shit in my game.
Well, as a player only and never DM yet, I beg to disagree. I feel like magic items should be rewarded as per se for completing a difficult task and should fit a certain player type. Like, okay.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
In circumvent of, if you roll on a table, you never know what magic item the party might get, and what if it's like a spellcasting focused, but there's not a lot of like this warlock that just only has this set amount of spell slots, and the items
because like, or if you don't do that thing, you're gonna miss like one of these moments. The party found a magical loot. I think it was like the dot loot or something. Really powerful item, but it requires a bard. They don't have a bard in their party, so they just carry it the whole time, not wanting to sell it for some reason. But as they travel, they find this bard character that they really like and everything. And when they really like the character, they want them to stay alive, they want to be protected. So, hey, remember that loot that I find in the previous dungeon? Here, I'm gonna give this to you. And that's just... Oh. So, it's cool.
It's more for the story thing. I do agree, like, some things, it's... I guess I'm a lot biased because I've only been playing a lot in Rain's campaign. But, like, the method works because, like, you might get some very random magic item. Some of it like if you were to give something specific to anything, it should be the place itself rather than the character coming it themselves, unless like this is something like Excalibur where only the strongest person or the most worthy gets it, something like that,
Like a campaign worthy magic item.
no, something that's like suited to the place where you get it, like suited to the dungeon where it's at. Like let's say the dungeon is full of what was one
necromancy zombie or something.
Yeah,
that
then
you get a necromancer item, even though the party doesn't have a necromancer.
Or the dungeon was made by a very crazy wizard who puts and at the end there's like a wish ring at the end of it.
I think that applies for any player.
To be fair, wish is very general. But that's the idea. Anyways, back to your item.
Kind of went off tangent there.
Yeah, it's fine. Alright. The magic item in question is by this lovely person at James Parrott.
No, it's James Parrott.
James Parrott with triple A's. Go follow him on Instagram. You can find other D&D content such and such in his Instagram page. But yes, the homebrew item we're seeing today is the quality quiver, and honestly, slightly decent magic item. I think would be quite reasonable to give to a party that has endeavored for quite long, and this ranger or rogue or whatever who holds a bow or uses a bow, whatnot, so forth, gets a D4 plus 2, rolls 1d4 plus 2 arrows per. It gains an arrow. I guess it like magically
generates arrows.
Generates it. We've seen items that generate food, spells that generate an entire house. Who's to say?
That's a 7.
That's a spell. That's a spell, and a magic item that generates arrows. Hey, that exists. Magic, baby. And also, they're +1 arrows. So this is quite. I think this might be quite a decent magic item to give to any like type of bowcaster player or whatnot. That wouldn't be too overpowered, and it might benefit the party as a whole. A great reward, definitely.
Gonna hit it with actually Rain, you're the experienced DM.
The two GMs.
How much do arrows cost? +1 arrow specifically.
If I recall correctly, it's 1 gold for 20 arrows.
+1 arrows.
+1.
No, +1 arrows are there. Okay, for 5e there is no what do you call? There is no prices for magic item. They given a suggested price, but inside of the DMG or the PHB there's no actual price of the item. But here's a really useful resource. I think you can sane magic items D&D 5e, and you should be able to find that particular one.
I found it. I googled it. According to DMG, a single +1 arrow would cost between 50 to 250 gold.
Yeah.
So this
50
thing.
to 250.
Yeah.
So
+1 arrows are
thing
insanely good. Yeah.
is
But here's
giving you
how
free
I would
money.
play it, right?
Go on,
Exactly.
go on.
Like, every day it's like +200 gold or something, which is pretty strong. If you
Well,
want to sell them, if you can find a buyer. But here's what I would do: require attunement, and
For
only
sure.
have the person attuned to it pull the arrows out. And if it leaves their immediate vicinity, the arrows disappear. Although actually, if you shoot them, they leave your vicinity, so maybe they don't.
Maybe one shot.
The arrow disappears at the end of your turn. Usually that's how these kind of like projectile. I think they use it. So like after 6 seconds, if the arrow is still somewhere else, it's gonna disappear.
maybe it acts like a charge per se. Like we can instead of saying
doesn't matter, right? That means like every 5 days or so, you're gonna have about 5,000 gold in your quiver, essentially.
Yeah. Especially
Which is
considering downtime being a thing.
Yeah, exactly. But so in terms of economy wise, I think mechanic wise it's fine because it's essentially a +1 bow.
I think a way to like balance this item maybe is leave, instead of producing the arrows, it's charges per se. So like it's like an empty quiver, it's an empty quiver box, and
Like
it has
a
charges.
magic arrow thing.
Yeah, Yeah, it's like an empty magic hat, like those magician's top hats. The wielder who's attuned to it could probably reach down and grab a quality arrow.
Exactly that. Yeah.
I feel like that could balance this out really well.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought as well. Like only drawable by the tuned person, because otherwise, I can imagine a scenario in which like 4 characters are sitting in the back, all have bows because it's a good +1 weapon, right? Like draw arrows out of my quivers, okay? And they just huddle together and just shoot at the enemy using +1 arrows after like I don't know, a week of downtime.
I feel like if we restricted it to charges, then it would be quite balanced. Maybe
Yeah,
charge
that's
of
fair.
3.
But I feel like kind of just my opinion, of course, because this one's a bit more subjective at this point. Because I like the idea of arrows being generated. You know, then you have arrows on your back, and it's a cool idea. But yeah,
Again, this is a underdeveloped. I mean, not underdeveloped. I think it's just
it's not as descriptive. This is just for the art and everything. So it's a simple description.
Yeah,
It's
like
in
a
the
magic
actual-
item. Magic item
about-
player card.
What about, as per Yurkel's suggestion in the chat, a mimic quiver that has to be fed gold to print arrows?
That's pretty cool, though.
I think Albert just really likes chests and mimics personally.
I
know
would
the
be.
I
would
can
be
imagine your
adamant.
campaign there. You're cool.
Okay.
I would be
In
horrified
treasure
to.
chest remember the party's first mimic? That big ass treasure pile?
Party's first mimic. Anyway.
I would. I
Yerk knows
wouldn't be. I wouldn't be keen about having a mimic at the waist of. That
But
would be.
No,
it's pretty
fun. It's
cute.
fun.
Imagine having a mimic quiver that's just like, I want gold, and then you open
That's pretty cool. Honestly,
It's like a pet
that
in
is pretty cool.
itself.
Yeah. Like you feed it coin, like, you have a handful of coin, you shove it into its mouth, and you pull out an arrow in exchange. You know, that's so cool.
I
I like
don't,
that idea.
however,
Thank you,
like
you're
that
cool.
it likes
You
gold.
wouldn't download a +1 arrow.
I like money though. Okay. Anyway.
Alright.
Okay. We might have one more homebrew item.
I like these arts. Damn, nice work.
So this
Yeah.
one
That's
is
what more.
by Mr. James Gifford. Go ahead, Ward.
All right. Next item up our list for the Homebrew Emporium is the Mindmugger Mitts. At Mr. James Gifford, yes, is his Twitter handle. Yeah. This is apparently daily magic items, so go ahead and look at his Twitter profile for other nifty knickknacks.
Ooh, nice.
And these are, I feel, specifically intuned for rogues. The Mindmugger Mitts. This one's has more of a description, so I think this might be more thoroughly thought out. It's a rare magic item and requires attunement. The user of this magic item gains advantage with a sleight of hand checks while attuned. And its special ability, Memory Lapse. Which is, honestly, after reading it thoroughly, this might be the best for inquisitive rogues as well, other than
Alright.
thieves.
Go on.
The bonus action, touching a target, you can touch a target. I'm assuming they'll also forget you touching them, but if they
It's
fail the wisdom save,
forget everything from the
Yeah,
rounds, which is
from the
6
rounds.
seconds, by the way.
whoever said 16 seconds, that's
Yeah.
2 rounds.
It's
3
a
rounds.
typo. It's a typo.
Okay, there, as said by Mr. James himself, is a typo. Yeah. Whoever this person as a bonus action touched will have to make a wisdom saving throw. Oh, I can't see the DC. Wait, has the
Oh.
DC been set?
It's DC 10 plus half your level.
Yeah, sorry, the image somehow got.
Oh,
no,
I think Aina has internet connection issues.
What? No. Hold on.
Oh no,
No,
it's
looks
back,
perfect
it's
on
back.
my side.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Don't.
Yeah, it went back sharp to me. No way. Go on.
Don't.
No, yeah, but it's fine. I see it again. All right.
Let me
So-
just move this then. Hold on.
Yeah, let's zoom. I think Rain, you're covering a portion of the text, but after rereading it, you have 3
your-
charges.
Yeah,
There you go.
get your hair out
It's
of
just
there.
my beautiful
There you go.
locks.
Now it's
Yeah.
perfectly center.
Your gravity-defying locks was blocking this current bit. It says,
It's
How
fine.
dare
We
you.
moved it. It's alright. Stop bickering, kids.
No, I will not stand for insult to my locks.
Girls,
sorry.
girls,
You-
you're both
you know my hair is
beautiful.
better than Stop lying to yourself. You know my hair is better.
Alright, go.
Alright. And it says you have 3 charges per day. So again, this Inquisitive Rogues, Thief Rogues, your best friends. Memory lapse. As a bonus action, you touch a target. They must succeed in a Wisdom saving throw. DC is 10 plus half your level, minimum 1. On a failed saving throw, they will forget everything from that current round. 6 seconds. That's typical D&D standard rules. So honestly, this is a very, very bad item if your rogue's a kleptomaniac. So watch out. Watch your pockets.
It
And-
is a pretty cool idea. To be honest, you'll forget if the person stole from you for something. Although the DC might be a tad bit high, I think. You know what? No. I stand corrected. No,
It's not-
I think that's not.
At
not
level
too bad.
10, DC 15.
Yeah. Usually, this is just for like for future for how Wizards of the Coast does it. Magic item usually has a solid DC rather than what you call a variable DC. So for example, if a wand, for example, they will state their DC 50, DC 17, like one of Fireball, for example. So this is
Right.
cool. Yeah.
But I think the DC might be in parity or might not be in parity, because like I've seen similar magic items, specifically I think from Critical Role's campaign, in which they have the Vestiges of Divergence. Their weapons, if I recall, their magic weapons specifically, if I recall, grows with the party who the wielder's attunement. So like the longer or like how experienced they are with the magic item, it grows with them. So I guess this is supposed to affect a similar, like have a similar effect to it. The
That's
longer
true.
you wield it, it's the more power you gain.
That's
I feel
what I do in my
personally.
campaign.
Hmm?
That's pretty much what I do in my campaign. Like, I gave the party this weapon that was called a god-killing weapon at like level 3, and they don't know how to activate it. It's a god-killing weapon, surely, but for them it's just a regular sword because they don't know how to turn it on. But when they hit high enough level, boom.
Okay, so that's how you guys. Yeah, like the Vestiges of Divergence is honestly a really cool idea. I love weapons that evolve together with you, but the cool thing about Vestiges of Divergence compared to this one, I mean, I'm not saying this was bad. It's pretty cool as well, and it's a unique idea to let the items DC increase with you. But I like the Vestiges of Divergence because essentially the item not only just gets larger numbers, but also gains additional effects as you level up, and then when they get to the exiled state, they can do just crazy stuff more. And yes, of course, I've implemented it in my campaign. Who doesn't? Get inspired by Critical Role.
Yes, inspired.
Yes, but I wonder if you guys managed to figure out which of the items that you have in your inventory that do that.
You'll be happy to hear I don't know anything about the Critical Role magic items.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
very
So you're just ahead of your time there.
I make sure as I go.
By the way, you're closely. If let's say the one who being used this on pass the save, then you go to jail.
I mean,
Not
that is
only
what happened.
you
Yeah.
try to mug him, you mug his mind as well. I think that's pretty much a given.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I like imagine though, like the guy steals the item, gets caught, and then like touches the guy to make him forget, and then he does it, and he just stares at you.
A blank stare.
Yeah.
Why are you caressing my face?
Oh my god.
Again.
It's just
Second charge.
it's just such smooth skin. you
Goes
know?
goes into charisma check, persuasion check.
Yeah, it brings to, and honestly, good shit. Like, fuck, this is really good.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I like it.
Inflammatory statement alert from across the table. I don't really like it very much.
Go on.
Okay.
I feel like it's okay. It's not mind-blowing in terms of how good it is. It's a rare item. It feels situational and underwhelming. Because it gives you advantage on pickpocketing, right?
Yeah.
Sure, that's great. If you're pickpocketing at level 10, what are you doing? But it gives you advantage anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe someone's a kleptomaniac, but again, it's very situational. So yeah.
I think
I disagree. Sorry, go on.
I think the item should be like the rare tag is what pivots me. If it was uncommon, a magical uncommon item, then I think it would probably fit the item, like abilities displayed could fit an uncommon item. Rare could be better. I definitely agree with crit.
For me, common magic item, obviously fashion only.
Yeah.
Uncommon slide, maybe like potion of healing, heals stuff, +1 weapon and so on. Gives advantage on one ability check. That's a uncommon item. I think this pretty goes for rare, especially because the ability, I'd say that is not too situational. Instead, I'll call it very versatile. Imagine in combat, you touch someone as a bonus action, and they forget what they want to do during their turn, and they just stand there dodging. For example.
I mean,
what if?
I do agree. This is all up to the interpretation of the GM. But like, if you have like a GM that plays along and leans into how vague the item's power is, I think this could bring into like a very cool scenario.
I just thought of one scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
What if?
Yep, go on.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
Okay,
crit?
one last argument before we need to go to
Okay.
Yeah, War, go ahead. I'll do the last bit.
Alright. What if a party of necromancers is trying to resurrect, I don't know, just resurrect something, be it a dragon or like an undead lich or something like that, and one of the leader is like telling one of their scribes to like finish the incantation or something. Put the memory lapse on and they won't remember what their cult leader told them to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Never finish the incantation. They fail.
Yeah, exactly. So
Literally followed by leaders saying, "What do you mean you forgot? Finish the fucking incantation!" Boom.
Second time. Hey, 3 charges a day.
So in combat, something now. But yeah, sorry. More final words. Go.
Oh yes. I wanted to add one more thing.
Crit. I meant to say crit.
Okay. No, it's fine. Crit. I think Crit had to say something.
Just it feels very situational. In combat, depending on what you're fighting, it would be like, oh, if I'm fighting an intelligent opponent, there's a chance I might like forget something and slip up and to lose the last 6 seconds. But if it's like a beast or a monster, it's probably going by instinct, so the memory lapse won't really matter. Moreover, if you fail, you're standing in front of a guy, touching his face as your action, and
bonus action.
Bonus action.
Sure, but you don't have a reference of whether he forgot something or not, because you touch his face and he has a look on it like, okay.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that he didn't forget anything. He's about to stab you in the face while you're touching him, weirdly. So, like, I don't know. I feel like it's good to use if your pickpocketing fails, but if you're like a rogue and you have advantage on pickpocketing, you're not
usually
failing
you
that.
won't fail. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, so I'll
guess.
close this with what Yurko say. One thing you could use it for is touch a guy giving you a reward, so he forgets he gave you a reward already.
There you go.
There you go. Alright, so let's
Jesus.
let's move on to our last segment of the show. Let me change the thingy first. I can do this. Give me a moment.
The last segment is called Crit Talks Too Much.
Crit, go ahead. Talk too much.
Okay, so we've covered the homebrew, we've covered the news, we've covered the cringe stories, now we covered the based stories, aka RPG Glory Stories. Oh, it's opposite of cringe, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm working off of.
The ring is green.
But yeah, this
It
one
fits
is
your
really
color.
It really is, man. So this one is a doozy. It's a very long story. So the TLDR is no, I'm kidding.
No, read it.
Read the post.
Kidding. But yeah, if my internet drops, which there's a chance it might,
I will
just start
take over.
screaming various things, and I'll reread parts of it.
Okay.
Alright, so the title is DM turns a throwaway comment into the greatest reveal I've ever done seen by user Dorsus? Amogus Dorsus. Okay, so it says, apologies in advance for the length of this one. It's okay, Dorsus. A small bit of backstory. A few years ago, my brother played in a few RPGs and decided he wanted to give DMing a game himself go. Unfortunately, he had trouble with a lot of systems. Complex rules don't really fit with him personally, and while they can work with them as a player, as a DM it's another story. And the fix was creating his own simplified system. As a sci-fi fan, he took the opportunity to make his own Star Trek style setting. After a lot of trial and error, admittedly several players coming and going, he settled on two groups, one much larger than the other. We have crossovers and feel each other actions in our respective sessions. I am part of the smaller group, used to be bigger, but due to life, commitments, etc., it has shrunk down to just 2 players recently.
Aw.
Yeah, rings too true.
Yeah.
This works for us, as we can't make the same sessions as the main group, but still enjoy being part of the game universe. We've had some insane plot twists, arcs, and NPCs over the years, culminating in the most recent story. So, a few months back, whatever, we were introduced to a new quest giver, a suave businessman and an all-around charming guy called Alistair, who wanted to contract our ship for a series of jobs. We immediately didn't trust him, but after a while found ourselves taking side missions and developed a working relationship. Honestly, he won us over. Eventually, he told us he wanted to work for him full-time, leaving the faction we worked for and all of our all-time favorite NPCs.
Aw.
We declined, of course, but he was persistent, pulling out all the stops to convince us, favors, gifts, and even paying for a full retrofit of our ship. Still not enough.
Oh,
That was
Jesus.
until 2 things happened. The first was our NPC co-pilot leaving the party at the culmination of his personal quest.
Aw.
The second was our aforementioned favorite NPC getting sick, real sick. This guy was some sort of a telepathic super being. It's a long story, but essentially every character has a multiverse evil counterparts, but this guy doesn't. He's unique.
Ah, he's like America Chavez. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Who? But yes.
I was thinking mirror dimension because Star Trek, but yes, go on.
Oh shit, yeah. We did what we could to find the source of his illness, and imagine our shock when we discovered that it can be traced back to his multiverse counterpart. Noticing some similarities between the two, we began to suspect Alistair is this counterpart.
Ooh.
Oh. We finally agreed to switch sides, secretly planning between us to use our insider knowledge to figure out what was going on. On our most recent mission, we were tasked to visit a high-security prison facility due to a tip-off that one of the prisoners was going to escape. Pretty much our entire rogues gallery is here.
Hey!
It's the title. It's the
Imagine
title.
my face when I read
Roll
this.
the credits.
And we learned this place is still recovering from a visit of the other PC group. Because, of course, something immediately seems off. Just hearing who we are working for sends shivers through our old enemies, and no amount of persuasion will get them to reveal why. The warden, of course, is adamant the place is impenetrable and leads us to the prisoner. This guy is a standard villainous fare, right down to his name being the Annihilator. He swears he has no plans for a breakout, etc., etc. So now, of course, cue the breakout. Power fluctuates, things go wrong. We rush to the cell, and he's dead, along with his guard. Dun dun dun. Who
It's
done
like
it?
that time where like the thunder will flash, lightning will flash at the
Yeah.
back, and like, who did it? Dun, dun, dun.
The lights turn on,
Orchestra
there's-
piano plays. Na na na.
There is one imposter among us. And we go searching for whoever did this to no avail. We inspect the corpse and find signs we've seen before. A strange goo-like substance that appears in this RPG sci-fi undead. He attacks us, of course. Being RPG players, we decide to blow up half the corridor to put him down. Still doesn't work.
Relate that.
Fire,
Okay.
fireball, fireball. Yes.
Bit of an overreaction, but whatever. Still doesn't work. Scanners are still reading an undead. We tried to get our ship AI to specify, but he has been acting weird lately, something we have chalked up to character development. We do everything we can to figure this out, checking CCTV and personnel files. Turns out there's an extra guard on the premise, but not in the records. Alistair calls and we update him, tell him what happened and we are fine. He decides to send backup. The backup is an assassin we've killed before, an assassin now reanimated for a second time. Red flags are obviously glaring, but he convinces us that he's on our side. We watch him carefully.
Maybe he's like, Ami Maloa, like a powerful lich or something. Like,
Sci-fi lich.
Okay, anyway, continue.
So thanks, Albert. Very cool. We find the guard, also undead, and the other PC kills him. Sensing his movement, the assassin tries to attack us and mysteriously drops dead. God damn it. The warden thanks us, but his searches have revealed even more disturbing things. First, one of our worst villains has escaped, leaving a duplicate behind in his cell.
Oh my god.
Second, the Annihilator doesn't add up. He's been in prison for a while, but he has no records of his transfer or capture. It's as if he simply appeared from nowhere. Dun, dun. We decide to confront Alistair, but first we call our favorite NPC. He is not doing so well, and on a whim I decide to tell a lie. My plan being that if Alistair is somehow listening in, he will pick up on it. Alistair calls immediately, feeding us lines about his information being bad, not knowing our history within the assassin, blah blah blah. Then, I bring up the topic I lied about. He simply says, "If you want to tell me something, you can always say it to my face." I panic, other PCs start asking what's wrong. I scan the ship for bugs and they show none. What they do show is the ship's AI has a virus. Alistair has control of everything, he knows everything, right down to the plans we've been discussing right here on this ship. The retrofit was just a cover to replace our AI, back before we even suspected he was up to something. Every mission we have done for him, even before our favorite NPC got sick, was to increase his power and hold over us.
Damn.
We were playing checkers and this guy was playing 4D chess.
Wait, so what?
That's a good analogy.
Wait, he bugged the thing to like know every move of the party, basically?
He replaced the AI.
Yeah,
He did a
replaced the AI
retrofit. Retrofit
I don't know
meaning
what that means.
yeah, retrofit is basically an entire rework of a ship or like
Yeah.
a vehicle.
And
So it's changing
and everything.
changing the entire systems basically. Like
Okay,
a
I know.
dry dock.
In a sci-fi setting,
Okay.
usually there is an AI that controls a ship because it's too
Yeah.
complex for one human to handle.
Uh-huh.
Usually the NPC will, be friends with the AI because he's pretty nice and everything. But in this case, the Alistair that replaced that AI with a fake one that is working for him.
This
Now
is
you
some
get the implication?
Okay.
Yeah. So now everything they do on the ship, the AI knows. The fake AI knows. And what the fake AI knows, he relays to Alistair.
Okay, alright.
Yeah.
Damn.
Go on.
Okay.
that's why they say their AI has like character development. They chalk it up.
Yeah, they
character
say they
development.
chuck. Yeah, but it's just a different AI entirely.
I see, okay.
Yeah.
And now let's finish the post because there's 2 more paragraphs. So,
Yeah. Go on.
as we struggle to damage control the situation, a second ship arrives and our co-pilot, the guy who's been missing since all of this began, walks on board. We missed a call from him a while back and have been trying to contact him ever since, but none of our calls have gotten through and we couldn't understand why, and now we know. The session ended up on this cliffhanger, but suffice to say, he's been trying to warn us the entire time that about our AI, and was kept in the dark.
Oh.
There's a lot more to this than I can ever fit in a post as long as this one, but months of planning, foreshadowing, and weaving of stories have gone into this reveal. And the best part, it turns out he did all of this based on a single conversation I had completely forgotten about over 6 months ago. He remembered me talking about how much I loved a suave master planner who was always one step ahead.
Oh my
He
god.
wrote it down and created Alistair Drake, which is such a
Yeah.
villainous name.
Yeah, Alistair Drake. Alistair is already very fancy. Imagine Drake. Oh god. That sounds like a very hot villain.
You would think that.
Yeah.
But I imagine the way he was described, he was probably like an alien that is somewhat over bloated, short.
Oh, okay, very different. I'm imagining like Artyom basically.
Hey, whoa,
Whoa, why are you implying there, bro?
Don't bring my very nice and polite PC into this.
Appearance, I mean, appearance.
I've been just imagining the fucking Luther man from Mass Effect.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's my way of seeing it. But yeah, that's the story.
That's a pretty cool one. I actually forgot to comment or anything because I was just like, what's
Yeah.
next? What's next?
That's how you tell a story. That's how you get people.
Yeah.
It's goodly written as well. Well written. There you go.
Well
Well,
written.
you can say, yeah.
English, everyone, we know it.
I do love stories that are like very long in the making, especially if there's like clues leading all the way back
and
or something.
it pays off, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, I read all that for this. Oh, satisfaction.
For obvious comparison, Rain in our
Yeah.
campaign, Arc 12, how long have you been setting up the whole false Hydra thing?
Ooh.
Very first session.
From the very so what happened was in our campaign, well, we were a group of 7 people who came together to find like the Holy Grail. So, but to get to the Holy Grail, you need a key. However, nobody has ever found the key for like forever, but we somehow got it, and it's in the shape of a dice that is 12-sided, made from like a piece of us basically. However, we're only 7, but the dice is 12-sided, and when we find other people who have keys, they're all from it's made up from exactly that number. Like, let's say there were 2 people
in your party.
yeah, if there's 2 people, it's a coin. If there's 6 people, it's a d6. You know, but ours, we are 7. We started out 7, but we had 12, and the whole time there was like this mystery of like 12. Wait, there's always, but we've only started at 7. This doesn't make sense, you know? And then cut to almost 100 sessions later, we found out that it was actually a false Hydra doing this all along, and we were actually 12. We're
For
actually
reference, for
12.
those who don't know, a false Hydra is a monster that eats people, and when you get
Ooh.
eaten by the false Hydra, everybody forgets about you.
Here, let's show you what's a false Hydra.
Oh.
Because I will
every time.
not be the only one traumatized by it. The first time I see it, I
For
was
the main monitor
traumatized.
gang, be careful. What you're looking at now, it's a little scary.
It is actually pretty scary.
Look at this.
Clarification, I am not
At
in part of this
bottom one, the
campaign
bottom.
as well.
Scroll bottom a little bit. The one that's just one face. You gotta go for that one.
Which one?
No, on
This
the
one?
on the left side of the screen, the one with just one face.
This one? This is the one that you used.
No, not that one. The other one. Where is it?
Oh,
I think it's
this
so fast.
one! Oh, I
Yeah.
hate this one! This is the revelation! It's the worst thing! I can't even see it right now! No, I'm not gonna subject our viewers to that. It's the
Who
worst
added
Very,
episode!
very nice.
Nobody's gonna
Nice
come back!
For clarification, I am not part of this campaign, and I am also terrified now. What the fuck?
This thing has traumatized most of us. Like, some of us are having like nightmares because of this thing. So it's
And
awful.
I killed it.
Shut up. We all did. The funny thing is, like, we built a rocket that cost us 50,000 and dealt 134 damage to this thing. But when we, like, 4 people just, you know, delayed our attack to hit at the same time, did exactly the same damage as the 50,000 rocket. And that's like, to be fair, we're level 15. But still.
And the rocket cannot be, mind controlled, so there's that.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
Holy Jesus, I don't know what's happening.
It was from the beginning because I do want to have a rival at some point. And there are other dice, but like I think like 6 is a good enough number for a rival, so I thought a D6 would be perfect. Then I realized they have a D12. I wonder how we can spin this. And That's where it started. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that twist. And then, oh, by the way, spoilers for the Arc of the 12 campaign.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
haven't watched from the beginning.
No,
It's been
sometimes,
weeks.
you know, spoilers make people want to watch things.
Fair, but we
That's
should
true.
say spoiler part before everything.
It's
Wait,
okay.
wait,
We'll add it in
Come on,
post. We'll add it in post. Spoilers.
We'll do it in post.
Did we forget to mention this is a 2-year anniversary of that campaign?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
That's a good point to end on because it has
Ah.
been longer than I planned it to be, but you know, it's still within the time limit. Yes, Chris.
Yeah.
There is a challenge to all the viewers.
Oh.
Rewatch everything about the Arc of the 12 from episode 1 and try to
Jesus.
find every instance of Rain foreshadowing there being 12 people.
Oh my god, and clip
Whoever
it.
sends the most instances and clips will become my new best friend.
Will become
Albert.
our new moderator, basically.
Hey, let's go.
But I can do that. I'm like the show's biggest fan. Not Crit, it's me. Thank you.
I never assumed I was. I'm like,
Sure.
whatever, okay?
Why not? Take it away.
Alright, so that's all for the first episode of Rogue's Gallery podcast. RGP, is that what our RGP, let's go. It's because
RGP.
It sounds like a Gold Republic. No, it's not. Never mind. I'm on a tangent. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for the past hour and a half. And yeah, we'll see you next week for the second episode. Maybe.
Yeah.
And we'll do a bit better, a bit more professional, maybe.
Sure.
I
will
doubt it. Somehow.
Let this be the last thing you see before I go away.
Also,
Anyway.
feedback would be appreciated on wait, can they even
Yeah.
comment on podcast?
Yeah, leave a comment. If you guys are watching this in any other places, so like YouTube and stuff. So
Join our Discord.
join us in our Discord and talk about it as well.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow.
Oh yeah. What kind of YouTubers would we be if we don't tell you to do that? So, yeah, we'll see you next week. In the meantime, have some memes.
Yeah.